Hi everyone, it's Agnes and I've got a interview today. It's with Rene. Hello Rene.
Hey Agnes, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for coming to talk about what we said was self-love was a very important topic. And just so the viewers know where you are, what country you're in, where are you exactly?
I'm in the Mid-Atlantic in the United States, so that would be between Washington and Philadelphia. So I'm
Good
outside
stuff.
of Washington, so
Good stuff. Yeah, it's people, I think it's nice when people know where people are when they're being interviewed.
yeah, I think so
So
too.
yeah, it just puts it into perspective. And you and I are big on self-love, and we said we'd go back a bit further down the chronological where you were, what you did, and how you are today.
Right.
So in terms of self-love, so do you want to go back and start wherever you want to start?
Sure, I'd be glad to. Thank you. A little backstory for me. I was the youngest out of three kids, and we were a military family, so we traveled a lot. And there was a period of time when I was 7 and 8 that my father wasn't home, and it was just my brother, sister, and my mom. And my brother was 9 years older than me, and I was sexually abused by him and his friends for about a year, maybe a year and a half. And that was the first really big incident. That really concreted a lot of things. uh, the abuse resulted in me having to go to the hospital, and I was told at that time that I would never have children because of the abuse. And of course, you're that age, you don't know, you really can't process that. But my mother was horrified, and she didn't know what to do, and she didn't know how to handle it. And she didn't handle it well, but given her upbringing, and through therapy that I've taken, I realized that she blamed me for it, that somehow I did something to bring this attack on. So from that moment on, she was like hell-bent on making sure that I understood three very big things for me. And one was that fat and ugly girls never get a man. That was one. Two was I had to stop daydreaming, because I was just going to dream my life away and never amount to anything. And I needed to act my age. And of
Mm.
course, and yes, I have to laugh because two of those things I do all the time. I don't know what acting my age is. I just do whatever that feels good to me now. So,
Yeah, yeah.
if I see a puddle, I may jump in it. I may. There's no telling.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I love nature. I love walking, in the rain. I love, there's just so much stuff I like to do that I'm not sure is quote unquote my age. And now when I think about what dreaming has brought me, I have to chuckle because I think, well, I wouldn't have what I have in my life right now if it wasn't for dreaming.
Mm.
Um, those two things, those are very big things that sort of set in motion my self-image, of who I was. More what she said and put into me than the actual abuse, believe it or not, because it was repetitive and constant. And it
Mm.
and I don't believe for a second she didn't love me. I think she did. I think she didn't know how to handle the situation. And I've long since been able to forgive her. You know, she did she handled it the best way she knew how to. It
Yeah.
wasn't great. It wasn't great, but I can't waste any more of my life being upset with her.
Mm.
And I've forgiven my brother. I mean, I went through, we've talked in the past about, the little child within. And I had to go to a therapist specifically for this issue,
Yeah.
and did a lot of little child work, a lot. And I'm very grateful I had a therapist that was as good as she was. She didn't want me to stay there forever. She wanted me to get to a place where I felt healthy and good and move on.
Mm.
But even so, Agnes, the peace, and then my mother died suddenly when I was 12. So that's the next thing that happened. And
Mm.
um, I started searching at 12. I mean, spiritually started searching, because I didn't want anything to do with her God, which was an Irish Catholic God.
Yeah.
If he was loving and kind and wonderful, then how could he allow a little girl to go through what I've been through?
Mm.
And icing on the cake, my mother died. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
started looking.
Renee, what did your mom die of? Because she died when you were really young.
12. She died very suddenly. She had a blood clot
Oh, wow.
that was
Okay.
undiagnosed. In fact, she and my father had signed to buy a house the day before she died. So it
Wow.
was, so I went into my teen years, having been the baby of the family. Within 2 months, my sister, who was 12 years older than me, left. My brother, 9 years, he left. It left me and my father, and he was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And he was just a crushed man. So I spent between 12 and 18 taking care of him, and having to learn by the seat of my pants how to wash clothes and cook, how, you know, and take care of a house,
Yeah.
and call bars up every night and try to find out where he was. And, you know, it was, when I look back on that little girl, I think, God damn, she was tough.
Mm.
I mean,
Yeah.
very resilient. I mean, I never questioned I needed to do it. I just did it.
Yeah.
And, but I didn't, but I still was questing at that point. And I did my entire life. And then I fell in love when I was 25. And I'll put that in quotes. You can't see it. Quotes. Fell in love. I was scared to death no one would love me, because I believed what my mother had told me. When I look back at pictures of me when the abuse happened, I was not fat. I was adorable, so I wasn't ugly, but I was like a normal kid. All the pictures were up and down straight, no bumpy parts of me. So, you know, it was all her projection, her fears, her whatever onto me. But that's what I believed, so that's what I became. And so when this man came along and said he loved me, I was just so desperately glad that somebody would love me that I jumped at it. And we were married for 5 years. He was diagnosed as a narcissist and with sociopathic tendencies, because that was, you know, there's lots of fun in that, Agnes, let me tell you.
Yeah.
And that was just, that was really, you know, and I've had lots of narcissists in my life, which isn't unusual for somebody that's been sexually abused and has a bad idea of themselves, you know, just a prime picking. So that marriage ended, and I was still looking for a spiritual home. And I realized yesterday, I think I was thinking of how I would go into all these different churches. I would go to a synagogue. I would go to Wiccan communities. I mean, I went everywhere. And I always asked this question, you know, they would give me their spiel and I'd say, yeah, but does your God love me? And I thought, oh my gosh, oh my God, oh my God. I wanted God to love me. You know, this is, I wanted someone to love me, and I was searching for a God out there that could love me. Do you know, it's that same thing, same thing. And so that marriage ended. I moved on, got involved with a Native American community, which became my spiritual center, became my social group. And I fell in love with somebody else, narcissist and sociopath number 2, because I didn't learn enough the first time. So I thought I'd go again. And I just remember looking back on how desperate I was. And really, narcissists and sociopaths are players. You know, they know how to manipulate. They know how to get what they want. They don't care about anybody else, really. And using people is what they do. And I was just the perfect person to pick on. You know, I was wide open. I had low self-esteem. I didn't love myself. I didn't even like myself, I don't think. I got all of my self-worth from other people. And I always was the girl to go to. You know, I was the one to be asked, if you want to do something, give it to Rene. She'll do it. Because I thought that meant people loved me, you know, if they approved of what I did. So that crashed and burned horribly. And he manipulated the whole situation to a point where I ended up being on the out. And that was my whole life. And I crashed big time and ended up in a depression that I think lasted pretty much until like 5 or 6 years ago. I just didn't know what to do. And I had been writing my whole life. So when this crashed and burned, this big thing that just took me almost out, I decided I had enough of God. I wasn't seeking anymore. I was walking away from it. I was walking away from my writing. I took everything I ever wrote that I had kept and burned it.
Yeah.
I was done, you know, I was done. I thought, well, my mother was right. You know, there's nothing out there. I'll be lucky if any other man wants me. You know, I was really in a bad place. And I was drinking a lot. I you know, it was really bad. So that deep depression lasted about 5 years, 6 years. And I started thinking, well, I wouldn't mind talking to a man, but I don't want a man close to me. So I had this big plan that I would talk to somebody on one of the chat rooms from another country. And I went to England and I started talking to this man. And 2 years later, he came to visit and we got married. I still don't think I was out of the depression. You know, I just figured I was worthless, and that's how it was. Really, during that period of time, I never questioned it. Whatever happened, I can't tell you, but sitting there all those years watching him watch television, and I could, you know, what I wanted, I went from the bad boy at the Indian place to I wanted what I said, and I know I've created this because I said, now I want somebody who is dull, you know, who won't rock the boat. And I got one. I got a man who sat on the couch and never wanted to do anything. I got a man who never wanted to pay the bills. I got a man who didn't care much about my welfare. I got a copy of my father. Really? And
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know that at the time. And I just remember one day sitting there, and I had been just, the only way I knew how to numb myself at that point was eating. And I had nearly ate myself up to 400 pounds.
Yeah.
But I remember sitting there saying, this can't be it. You know, there was like this one moment of clarity where I said, this can't be it. So I went to a doctor. I started, because I was in a lot of physical pain, you know, obviously when you're that big, everything hurts. And I started taking care of myself a little more. I started losing weight. About a year and a half, I'd lost just about everything I needed to, got a knee replaced, and I was still not happy. Because they tell you, lose the weight and you'll be happy. Lose the weight and life will be great. Get your knee replaced and everything will be terrific. I mean, really, this is what we're told. So I just remember sitting on the side of the bed, crying, sobbing. The husband came in, took a look at me, turned around, walked out. He never even asked, oh my God, what's wrong? You know, no, he never asked. And, and he was very angry I had lost weight. I mean, it wasn't a good situation. And so from that, I went back to the doctor. She gave me a mild antidepressant. I started going to see another therapist, and I began to feel a little better. But I still, you know, all of this searching and looking and trying to feel better, I didn't know what I was missing. You know, there was something missing, and I didn't know what it was. I just thought if I kept looking, I would find it. So, I mean, what was missing was self-love and self-acceptance. but I
Yeah.
didn't know it then. And I had been watching a TV show, and I don't follow celebrities. I don't know anything about celebrities. The whole idea just makes me crazy, you know, that there's all these people that follow someone, and, you know, I don't know names. But there was an actor on this show. I didn't know his name, but I thought, wow, he really did such an excellent job. And I had the thought, well, you should tell him. Well, that's a stupid thought. I mean, I remember thinking to myself, Agnes, that's stupid. But it was so persistent. And I got so irritated that I had this persistent thought. I mean, the last time I wrote a fan letter, an actual fan letter, was to Davy Jones from the Monkees. So that tells you how out of touch I am with any of it. So I said, okay, now I'm still at a point where I think the universe is out there. I'm praying to this God, talking to this spirit that's out there, you know, not inside me, but floating out there somewhere, that either granted me things or didn't grant me things at their whim, with no rhyme or reason. I never could understand what that was. But I got I said, okay, this is stupid. And if I'm supposed to do this, universe, who I haven't spoken to in 20 years, then I'm going to set up something in your, you know, like a big, I'm trying to think of what it's called, sign. I want a big sign. So I told the universe, okay, this is what I want. And this was March. So here in March, it's pretty cold. And I said, okay, so I want to be, and I was so specific. Now, this is me manifesting something almost instantaneously without any knowledge. Do you know what I mean? I said, I don't want to do this stupid thing, so you do this, universe. And I put this out, and then I forgot it. And within 24 hours, this particular thing happened, and I was freaked out. So what I said to the universe was, okay, I want a really big sign, because this is a stupid thing and I don't want to do it. So I want to be driving to work down this particular road. It's a very long straight road. Up in the clouds, I want to see lightning. And we call it heat lightning here, because in the middle of the summer, if there's not enough moisture, the light stays up in the cloud. So, but you know, you don't see it March. So I want it to be up there. It's very pretty. So that's what I want. Second part of it is I want a stag to walk out of the side of the road and stop the car. And in my mind, I'm like, I want to stop the car right at this place, and I want all my bags to fall to the floor, and then he's going to walk across the street, and I'm going to be cussing up a blue street. And literally within 24 hours, that exact stuff happened. I didn't understand about creating your own reality. Do you know what I mean? I had no idea. When I look back at that now, and I thought, oh my God, the amount of energy I must have put into that, not wanting that, you know, not wanting that. So over the last 5 years, I have been on this new journey of trying to understand what that was. You know, why would the universe send me that? And through that, I had somehow found you and your videos, which I loved right from the get-go, because you're a very straightforward speaker, and I appreciated that. I tried to listen to Abraham Hicks at the time, and I was like lost. I mean, I listen to her now a lot, and I find her very funny, but at the time I was lost. So, and then from there, you know, you just build and build and build, you know?
Yeah.
You learn one little thing and it's like, okay, well, this is great. And then you learn something else and you realize how much further you are than you were the day before. So somewhere along the line with your videos, I started listening to things about self-love. And then I started reading Neville, because you suggested Neville, and he talks about God being your own wonderful imagination. And all of that started clicking. And I was still miserable. And And somehow, and I don't, there wasn't like a light bulb moment, but somehow in all of that, I finally figured out that I could be happy and I could have everything I wanted. And during this whole marriage, I hadn't written anything. After the incident with the deer and all of that and this actor, I started writing a little bit and realized how much I liked it and how much, even though I wasn't writing, I was still a writer. It's just a part of who you are.
Yeah.
If you are a singer, you're always a singer. You can stop singing, but that doesn't mean that part of you goes away. So, I've just built on that. And, and that was just 5 years ago. And within 5 years, I put out to the universe that I wanted to be a writer and I wanted my writing to be accepted and I wanted to make a living at it and I wanted to have fun at it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to meet up with other people that were writers. So that, that has been over the 5-year period. So today I am been published twice. I have a blog in an online version of a national magazine. And, that's not a long time. That's not a long time for most writers that keep writing. It's not a long time for somebody that hasn't written at all in the number of years that I hadn't written.
Yeah.
I still had trouble believing that I had a place at the table with other writers. And you and I have had a one-on-one concerning that, and I've worked through it and I'm really glad I did that. I think one of the things that has helped me a lot is when something doesn't go the way I want it to now, I've learned from Neville's stuff and actually going back and listening to your old, I'm trying to think of, I think they were books that were recorded. They were only audible. The people that are good at manifesting get rid of blaming themselves. If something doesn't go the way they think it should, they go, wait a second, what's wrong here?
Yeah.
I don't like this feeling. Let me see how I can change it. They don't go, wow, you're really crappy at this. You're no good. You can't manifest anything. See, your mother was always. But I grew in this idea of self-acceptance and self-love to the point that it is for me the most important thing of anything. It doesn't matter what I want or what I want to manifest.
Yeah.
When I am in that place of total self-love, it is a place of grace, of ease, of wonder, of fun, of intuition, of love. It just is everything. So, you see my childhood, and I didn't get into a lot of detail, but it was pretty rocky and pretty rough.
Yeah.
But, and then when I realized that I needed to go back and forgive my dad and forgive my brother and forgive my mom, I had to a point, but I realized because I didn't love myself and hadn't forgiven myself, I couldn't really forgive them completely. There was a part of me that was still holding on to that self-righteous anger stuff.
Yeah.
So I could be
Rene, what self-love practices do you gravitate to the most?
Okay. I do drive a lot, so I listen to a lot of audio. So I listen to a lot of your YouTubes. In fact, I was listening to a self-love one that you did a while ago, and you had a link to Edwina Gaines, if you remember.
Oh, yes, Edwina.
Oh,
yeah. Yes, she's the tithing woman. Yeah.
So I listened to her for, an hour this morning. But my regular practices, when I wake up in the morning, I say, this is a great day. Before I even get out of bed, this is a great day. And as soon as my feet hit the floor, I start with, I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. It hurts nothing because I'm just going to be getting dressed anyway. And I want to push off whatever crap is going to be in my head, you know, the crap of the day. Do you know what I mean? Like
the crap of the day. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Do I need small stuff? Like I need to stop for gas, and which station is the cheapest? And do I need to stop at the store? And I need coffee, you know, all of those little things.
Yeah.
Way before you even get to any big stuff. So I put that off as far as I can. And then once I'm in the car, I will listen to something that's uplifting. Sometimes I am affirmation. There's a woman named Bo Westcott. She's an Aussie, and she has on her website, and I don't listen to anything else she has, but she has a playlist of affirmations that's spoken that is Florence Scovel Shinn and Catherine Ponder and Joseph Murphy and a couple others.
Lovely.
And I can put her playlist on, and that takes like over an hour. So I'm well on my way to work. So when I get to work,
Rene, can you send that to me and I'll put it in the link down below, because that sounds lovely.
Oh, it is. And I would certainly do that. I think other people might enjoy it.
Yeah.
But Jason Stephenson does some really great affirmations. And you have a lot of really great, you know, meditations that I use like affirmations. So, you know, I think it's whatever works for you, but that gets me at the start of my day. Now, of course, since March, I've been working from home, but nevertheless, I still keep this up. You know what I mean? I still keep it up. And when I start my day, I will decide what I want to listen to. Usually it's a book of some kind. I've been listening to The Map lately. In fact, I've listened to it a couple of times since you had your interview.
Yeah.
And if I listen to the audio, I usually have the book as well, so I can play back and forth on them. So if I'm listening at while I'm working, I write something down and then I'll go to the book and refer to it. With the map, there's so many things to do in the back.
That book is so it's such a comprehensive, it's brilliant. It's one I go back to again and again and again. It's so good. And
so many how-tos, you know, it's like tangible, step by step by step. So many things we listen to in this way of life says, oh, well, well, just live in the end. Okay. Yeah. I don't know how to frickin' live in the end. So what do I do now? Just let go. Well, let go of what? You know, I mean, when I was to my anger is what defined me, and it's what I thought gave me life and purpose. So if I let go of that, what did I have? You know, I didn't know. So when I first came into all of this, like I said, you are so plainly spoken. It just makes it very easy to grasp a hold of this whole concept. So at some point I recognized that the self-love was what has been missing for all these years since I was 12 and started searching. Yeah. And that's why none of it ever really stuck. So the rest of my day, I'll listen to a regular book on tape, something I enjoy, or some music I enjoy, because to me, all work and no play, that's not the point. Yeah, exactly. Know, I'm doing this so I can have a great life. I'm doing this so I can enjoy everything I do. I'm doing this so that I have an opportunity, and unlike you, I believe that giving back is an important thing. So I'm doing this so I can recognize opportunities that will come along where I might be able to help somebody in some way. You know, I don't define what that is, you know, because it comes at different times and different ways. But I want to have fun. So I listen to music. I will listen to books that I like. But I always have this routine. And I just did a blog about my first aid kit, that when life kind of, you know, something happens and I think Abraham Hicks says that, you know, it's never unaware, but it's oblivious. Like you, it's happening. You're just pretending like you don't know it's happening. You know, like
Yeah.
you just pretend. Oh, how did this happen to me? And so when something happens, like with the writing, you know, and I had to take a step back, and then I had an issue at work, which is so funny for me because I had a new manager. She's very abrasive to everybody. And inside I kept saying, oh, I've got to figure out how to be good with her because she's going to want to write me up. Truly, I said that. So what does she do? She writes me up. Of course she does.
Yeah.
I mean, and yes, I put it out there. I said, okay, universe, I don't want this to be over until she writes me up. And, you know, and once that happened, things changed dramatically between us. And, you know, I just laughed, actually, not at her, not what's going on, but to myself, and said, well, you did this. But I didn't get angry with myself. So my little, what I call my first aid kit is when this stuff happens, regardless of how big or small it is, you're late for a meeting and you get irritated with yourself. That has as much power to it as anything else negatively. I step back. I stop focusing on something and I step away from it. I might even stop doing anything. Like if I'm pushing because this is really aggravating me and I want to get through it, then I might stop doing the meditations. Just stop for a couple days and just relax.
Yeah.
Do something I like. Take a long walk, do something physical. I volunteer at a raptor bird rehabilitation center, and that can be physically hard work. So I do something like that. I'll go hiking. I will pick one piece of candy from a wonderful chocolatier in town, because I couldn't afford a pound, and I wouldn't eat a pound anyway, but picking that one piece is like wonderful.
Yes.
Great cup of coffee to go with it. So I give myself a break and I will pull away completely, because what I have found, and you have talked about this thing that's bothering you, if you try to correct it, if you are, you want more money, I don't have enough money, and that's what you're thinking, that's what you're focusing on, everything you do is going to come back to not having enough money. So every affirmation you do, every meditation you do, every reading you do, because that's all you're consumed with. If you're consumed with your specific other, everything you do in the back of your mind is, well, will this help me? Will this get me in quicker? Will I get it better? Will I, you know what I mean? And so I just back away. I have to give myself a break from the whole thing. Yeah. And then I will slowly say, okay, well, let me test the waters. After a few days, when I start to feel a little better, I'm away from it a little bit, and I will do a general meditation, or I will listen to a general, nothing specific. If that feels good, then I will go back to adding other things in. If I test that water and I'm still anxious inside, then I stop again. Yeah. And go do something else I like. Take a nap, as Abraham Hicks likes to say. Go take a nap.
Exactly.
You go back if you want to ask me anything. I'm feel like I am.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. I'm glad you've talked about, because I think it's good for people to hear where you started, and that when you don't get love in a certain way when you're growing up, like a lot of us didn't.
Right.
That it's not a sentence for life. Like once you learn about this stuff and you learn about self-love being important, you can't change your blueprint, but what you can change is really understanding the importance of self-love. And as an adult, that it's our responsibility to do that for ourselves, irregardless of the family we had, irregardless of how good or not good they did it. Once you hit a certain age, and the great thing is now with technology, you can get online and learn about stuff. You don't have to, before we used to just learn with books. Like I remember when my law of attraction friend and I used to get together, we would just be sharing books. There was no YouTube. There was no Google.
Right.
you know, and we did that for 25 years. I mean, well, no, probably 20 years, because YouTube's been around for about 10 years now. 2019 was the 10th year. So it was 2009 that YouTube started. So, you know, we just did what we could. And
Right.
you would have more one-on-one conversations about it. You'd have more reading books.
Right.
And you still got through the information, but it was a lot slower to access, because you'd have to go looking in a bookshop and look across at the self-help section. But,
Right.
you
Right.
know, so I think now the learning can be a lot more accelerated, because you can actually put straight into Google, you know, how do I learn, you know, what do I do when I'm not feeling loved? And then there'll be 1,000 articles about that, or whatever. It points you to YouTube, points you here, points you there. So anyway, thank you, Rene, for coming and sharing that, because I think it's really important for people to hear where you start and what you do can definitely alter how you feel.
Absolutely.
And once you do that, then you can have a good life day by day, where you feel more at peace, where you feel more happy, where you let go of depression, you let go of anxiety, you let go of trying to suck love out of other people because they, you know, in your mind, they got to make up for what happened in your childhood. You can let all that go and go, you know what? Doesn't matter what people do or don't do, I'm going to do this for me. And I'm going to make that the most important job in my life.
You know, there's lots of things I want in my life that I've put out there, and I've just put it out there. It will happen. It's going to happen. It is happening. But what I want more than anything else is being happy every day.
Right now. I agree. And I think you get to the point where that is more important than any manifestation. I've seen over the years, the manifestations, yeah, they're still good, but my daily quality of life is more important than any manifestation to me today.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
You just can't.
Yeah.
If you're waiting for a manifestation, then you're waiting for something to make you happy. And
exactly.
That is just the same package wrapped up in a different cover. You know what I mean?
Yep. That's, yeah.
So,
and while you're waiting, you suffer. While you're waiting, you suffer. So
I did it my whole life. So,
yeah. Me too. I did it for a good 35 years. So yeah, you get to a point where, boy, when you understand the mechanics of that, and you set yourself free of, I need X, Y, Z to be happy, and until I get it, I won't be happy. Boy, oh boy, life gets so much easier when you're not torturing yourself like that anymore. And then when a manifestation comes, it's like, okay, great, thank you. Yep. But I was happy before that came.
Well, I think there's also a wonderful freedom of not having to keep the world spinning, not thinking I'm responsible for everybody else's happiness, you know, because I'm not, and I can't, I don't have the right to take anybody else's journey away from them. So boy, that's lovely. That is so lovely. I don't worry about myself.
It is. Well, thank you, Rene. I really appreciate you, because we had already one interview and the recording didn't work. So this is take 2. So I'm glad that the Wi-Fi and the recording was really clear this time.
Oh, I'm glad too.
And will you send me some links that I can put down below of anything that you think would be helpful?
I will be glad to. I would be glad to do that.
That'd be great. And do you want to say goodbye to everybody before we sign off?
Well, thank you so much, Agnes, and goodbye, everybody. And remember, self-love, baby. Self-love.
That's it. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining Rene and I. I hope that you have got something out of the interview, and any bits and pieces that we discussed will be down below in the description. Lots of love, and I'll see you as always in the next YouTube.
Bye.